Welcome back. Today we will see about super keyword in Java. Now consider the example. As in the previous session we have seen about inheritance, which implements the feature of reusability, where the properties of one class can be accessed in another class without object or directly. Now consider the given example where base class is A having a constructor which is default and derived class is B. Now as per inheritance we create object of only derived class because by using derived class object we access the variable of base class and we call the functions of base class using derived class object only. There is no need to create object of base class. That is the inheritance. Now in this case, if we have base class constructor, how we can invoke the constructor of class A in this case? Because as per inheritance, we are not going to create object of base class. So writing A object is equal to new A object will not make any sense, because if we do so it will not be an inheritance. Okay, what if we have the parameterized constructor in class A and we need to pass parameters to it, then what about that? So we will see here how this can be resolved by using super keyword. So we will write one program where base class is having default constructor. Let's see, does it executes without creating object of base class? So just write down class A where I am writing a default constructor for class A having some message to be displayed. Suppose I am displaying hello and constructor closing of class A. Now we will write derived class B, which is derived from A. Now let's see, B is having a default constructor where we are printing a message like by closing of derived constructor, closing of class. Suppose in class X I am writing public static void main string array. Now as per inheritance we will create object of B class. Now suppose I am creating object of B class, as there are no other normal simple instance methods or functions, so we have nothing to call. And we know that the default constructor will be called when we will create object of that class. So as per theoretical point, if this statement gets executed, it will check for the default constructor in B class. So it will come to this line and it will execute the by. Let's see what output we get. So we have to save this file as x.java. Let's compile that. Run the file. We received hello and bye. The constructor of base class got executed, called automatically even though we have not created object of A class. So how this constructor gets executed? So in Java, if the base class is having default constructor, then while creating object of derived class, it goes to the base class default constructor first, it gets executed, then it executes the body of the derived class default constructor. So that's why we have got the output as hello and bye. Now the problem gets resolved when we have default constructor. So there is no need to create object of base class like that. But what if I want to have one parameterized value in this in this base class A, and we want to print that? So will this line of object creation of B class will invoke this A class parameterized constructor? Let's see. No. Cannot find symbol constructor A because there is no way where we have passed the parameter. Now, if you want to pass parameter to class A parameterized constructor, you may say that create object of base class and pass parameter to it. But creating object of base class will not represent inheritance. So, what should be the solution? Now, we have to pass the parameter to base class constructor from derived class constructor because we are creating object of derived class. So, pass your parameter from derived class constructor, receive that in derived class constructor, and pass that parameter to base class parameter. So from derived class constructor, we can make a call to super where we can pass this received parameter in the bracket of derived class parameterized constructor, and this line will call the parameterized constructor of base class. See how it executes. When we run the code, the object of B class will be created. It will check is there any parameterized constructor in B class. The three integer value will be received in this R variable because in this constructor we are receiving the value. But we don't want this parameter in the derived class body. We want to pass that parameter to base class. So super keyword is used to call the constructor of base class and pass parameter to it. So this line super in bracket R will call the parameterized constructor of A, and this 3 which is passed into R, and this R will pass into this A, and that value should be displayed. Let's see. Save the code, compile the code, and now run the code. So what we get over here when we run the code, value is equal to 3 and by. So first use of super keyword is to call the constructor of base class. Now if the constructor of base class is default, that is without parameter, so there is no need to write super keyword because the base class default constructor will be automatically called when we will create object of derived class. But when we have to pass a parameter to the base class constructor, or when a base class is having a parameterized constructor, so we have to pass parameter to it from the derived class object. So derived class constructor has to be parameterized constructor only, and in that constructor we have to write super and in bracket the name of the parameter that we want to pass to the base class constructor. So this is the first use of super keyword. Now we will see next case. Now in this example, suppose base class A is having variable k and show function, whereas the derived class B is also having variable as k and having show function. Now, how these two classes in inheritance can have the same name and variable and same method name. So let's see what difficulty comes over here while implementing that. We will have the change in the same code. Suppose class A. Now I am replacing this with void show. So it means in base class A we have a show function, and now suppose in this class A I have a k variable. I am setting the value of k variable as a 10 and I am displaying the value of k over here. Now we are writing class B extends A. Here again, here again in B class I am having k variable, and in I am having show function which is same as of that base class. So in this show function I am setting value of k of derived class as a 20 and I am displaying that value of k in derived is equal to plus k. Here value of k in base. Show close class close. Now as per inheritance we will create object of B class because it is derived. See, in class A we have variable k, we have show function without parameter. Here I am setting value of k as 10 and displaying it. That's it. In class B, which is derived of A, I am having same variable name k, same function name as of A class void show. Here I am setting value as k is equal to 20 and displaying it, closing of class. Now as per inheritance we create object of only derived class. So we are creating object of derived class. Now we know that this derived class object is having right or authority or power to call the base class function, and obviously it will call its own function. So when we will write b dot show, what it will do, let's see. It is showing that value of k in derived is equal to 20. What has happened over here? When we create object of derived class and we are calling b dot show, at compile time compiler is checking, this is function call. So which body to be linked? So compiler is going to the program. So it is checking name of the function is show. So compiler check over here, it is having show, B is having show function, but B is derived class of A. Is there any show function in A class? Okay, show function is there. Now both name of the both function in derived as well as in base is same, show. Then it will check number of argument in both the function. It is 0, 0. Then it will check the return type of function. Here it is void and here it is also a void only. So now compiler gets confused which body to link. So syntactically there is no error. So compiler leaves the decision for the runtime and for the interpreter. So when we run the program at the execution or at the interpretation time, object gets created and interpreter checks, is there any function bodies linked by the compiler for this function. There is no address, so interpreter gets confused which to call. So it checks which object is used to call the function b, and this b is object of this capital B class. So it executes only show function of derived class. So we have received value of k in derived is 20. So it means the show function of base class is hidden, overridden. This is known as a method overriding because the method in derived class hides the method in base class because the name of the function, the number of argument, type of argument and return type of function, everything is same. That's why the method overriding has happened and the priority is given to derived class object which is used to call the function. Now, how to access or invoke this overridden method of base class? So you will again say create object of a class and then from that object call the show function. But here there will be no concept of inheritance. So we have a solution for this. In derived class method, we have to write super dot show. Let's see what it gives. See, we have received value of k in base is 10, value of k in derived is 20. It means when we create object and when we call the function, it goes to derived class function and here it receives super dot show. It means we have to call the function of super class, base class, which name is show, and then first base class show function gets executed and then it return back to this line and then these lines gets executed. So this is the use of super keyword in Java to call the overridden method of base class. Now here is int k and here is int k. Suppose if in main function I want to print value of k or wherever I want to print value of k. Now obviously in B class whenever I will print value of k it will show 20 only. Suppose I remove this line and now here itself in the derived class if I want to print value of k in base class but the name of both variable is kk. So when I print k only, it is printing value of derived class. What about base class k? So for that, we have to just write here value of k in base is super dot k. Let's see, do we get the output? Now I had removed that super function name. We have to close the bracket. We have received value of k in derived is 20, value of k in base as 0 because now this k variable is declared in the class A that has become default over here and now we have to access that over here in the derived class function. So we have to write here as super dot k. So it is showing as it is 0 because till now we have not executed the show function. That's why it has not set the value. Initially it assumes to be 0. So we will call show over here so that it will set value to 10. Let's see. So we have got value of k in base 10, 20, 10. So we super dot show. So it has displayed this line first as a 10. Then we have displayed this line value of k in derived is 20. Then value of k in base is again 10. So next use of super keyword is we have to access the overridden variable. Overridden variable means when the base class variable name is same as that of the when the variable name of base class and derived class is same but having different value, and when we want to print that in derived class function, only that variable name will print the value of the derived class variable. But when we want to print this overridden variable value of base class in the derived class, then we have to write that as super dot variable name. So these were the uses of super keyword. So we will just summarize the uses of super keyword in Java is to call the constructor of base class, which we had called in the derived class constructor, then to access the overridden variable of base class, and third to access the overridden method of base class. Hope you have understood the concept of super keyword. Thank you. See you in the next session.